So we are in Locust Grove, Oklahoma, and this is where the Camp Scott, the Girl Scout murders is at. We have no idea we can go into the campsite. We're gonna try, but we have some exploring to do. Hi strangers, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jeanette De La Garza, and here me and my friends go visit all the weird, fun, and cool places. Today's video is a little bit more serious because we're going over a true crime case that is the Girl Scout murders of Oklahoma in 1977. Me and my friend Brittany, we go visit Camp Scott, so I'll go over the case, give you a really good summary, and then we'll do a walkthrough of the camp when we went. If you want a deep dive and more details and more explanations on the case, I highly recommend you check out two podcasts. One of them is Red Handed. I'll put the link down below for both of them, but Red Handed is one of my all-time favorite podcasts. Those women are such awesome researchers, storytellers. They do a fantastic job over this case. The second podcast is Mile Higher Club. They discover the case as well, and it's just a different take on the same case, but you know, both podcasts have really great information. Some have different than the other, but they do a great job saying all the details of the trial, of the case itself. Other than podcasts, there's two websites that I got a lot of information and refer to, and it is the campscoutmurders.com and the girlscoutmurders.com. Both dedicated to this case and loaded with information. This case is still considered unsolved because there was never a suspect that was found guilty for these terrible crimes. As we go into the case, we talk about one suspect, but many believe that there is more than one suspect and they're just kind of out there. On June 13th, 1977, at Camp Scout, Girl Scout Camp, Denise Melner, 10, Michelle Gousset, 9, and Lori Farmer, 8, were sexually assaulted and murdered in their tent between 2 to 4 a.m. At 6 a.m., camp counselor Carla Whitty was walking on the trail towards the showers when she discovered 3 sleeping bags on the side of the trail. She checked out one of them and found a half-naked Denise Milner, gagged, beaten, and dead. The police came at 7 a.m. and discovered that in the 2 other sleeping bags was Lori Farmer and Michelle Gousset. After June 13th, 1977, the camp closed as is and never reopened again. It hosted Girl Scouts for nearly 50 years, and now it's been closed for 45. Being there just really put in perspective on how young these girls were, how innocent and just terrifying this whole situation is, and you can really feel the energy from the ground, and it's a very heavy, heartbreaking place to be there, and you see the innocence that's left behind. It's just really heartbreaking because they're going to camp, they're looking for summer fun, and you know, hundreds and hundreds of Girl Scouts have been there, done the exact same thing, and something so terrible and unexpected happened there, and it's left as is. And I was honestly expecting graffiti or like for items not to be there. I was expecting more just land, and no, like everyone I'm assuming is really treating that area with respect, and that's exactly what we did. We barely talked throughout the whole walkthrough. I think we were just so taken back on like where we were, what happened here, what we were doing. So I'll continue to talk about the case as I play the walkthrough, but I highly suggest that you still check out the podcast or the website so you can get a deeper insight on what happened from before trial, after trial, so on. I could not even have the story without these podcasts and websites. So we're at a gas station to, pee before we go, and there's a young guy who's a cashier, so I thought, why not ask him? If he lives around here, then he most likely knows about Camp Scott. So I asked, like, are you around here? And he looked so weird. He's like, yeah. I was like, so you know the Camp Scott? He was like, yeah. And then
I asked if he's been there, and we didn't quite get what he said.
He looked freaked out.
He looked weird. Like, he looked at me like freaked out, and like it sounded like he said yes, that he's been there, but
he was
he
like hesitant. Like,
yeah, and then he mumbled a lot, and I was just like, so like, do you know like how hard it is to go in there? And he just like,
he said I wouldn't know.
Yeah, he was like, I don't know much about it. And then like that was it. And like he just looked so uncomfortable, and I would never want to like intentionally make anyone uncomfortable. I'm just asking if he's heard about it.
He even
like
took a step back and was like,
yeah. So we kind of concluded maybe like, oh, I'm pretty sure people probably do really weird things on Camp Scott, so maybe he thought we were gonna start doing some weird things. I don't know. It was just simple questions. I feel kind of bad. I didn't want to make his day weird. I just was interested in knowing. Like, you're a local. I want to know. Damn. I don't want to bust out my camera right now because we're doing something you're not supposed to be doing. But we spent like, how long you would say trying to look for parking?
Like 30-45 minutes.
Because we're basically in the middle of nowhere. There's nowhere to park where you're not risking the car or anything in it, but everywhere is so far. We have such a far walk, but
we're almost
here
to
the entrance. And hopefully everything goes smoothly. It will go smoothly. It will go smoothly. It will. So before the murders, the counselors for Camp Scott were doing an on-site training session. One of the counselors discovered that her belongings had been ransacked, and she had a box of donuts, but inside it was empty. Someone had eaten them, and then there was a handwritten note in all capital letters saying, "We are on a mission to kill 3 girls, intent 1." They treated this note, unfortunately, as a prank, and it was discarded. Well, when all the girls settled in at camp, it actually started to thunderstorm, so there wasn't really much for them to do. So the counselors told everyone to go back to their tent and write a letter home to anyone, and then just go to sleep. These are the girls' last letters. Michelle Gousset. Dear Aunt Karen, how are you? I'm fine. I'm writing from camp. We can't go outside because it is storming. Me and my tent mates are in the last tent in our unit. My tent mates are Denise Milner and Lori Farmer. My room is in shades of purple. Love, Michelle. Lori Farmer was the youngest girl. She was 8 years old, but she was super smart. She had already skipped a grade, and by her letter, you can just tell that this girl was just way mature beyond her years. Lori Farmer's last letter. Dear Mom and Dad and Misty and Joe and Chad and Kathy, we're just getting ready to go to bed. It's 7:45. We're at the beginning of a storm and having a lot of fun. I've met 2 new friends, Michelle Gousset and Denise Milner. I'm sharing a tent with them. It started raining on the way back from dinner. We're sleeping on cots. I couldn't wait to write. We're all writing letters now because there's hardly anything else to do. With love, Lori. Her telling the time of when they were going to bed is super helpful. Denise Milner was already anxious about going to camp. She was worried about going, and her parents just took a lot of time convincing her to go because, I mean, it's something for her to be more independent, and that if she didn't like it, all she had to do was call and her parents would come get her. Denise's last letter. Dear Mom, I don't like camp. It's awful. The first day it rained. I have 3 new friends, Glinda, Lori, and Michelle. Michelle and Lori are my roommates. Mom, I don't want to stay at camp for 2 weeks. I want to go home and see Cassie and everybody. Your loving child, Denise Milner. One of the camp counselors said about 1:30 a.m. she took a flashlight and went to investigate suspicious moaning sounds that seemed to be coming from near the intersection of a camp trail and a dirt road that led to the parking area. It was pretty close to 10:08. Well, she couldn't find the source of the noise and just decided that it was an animal in the woods. At 2 a.m., one of the Girl Scouts in Tent 6 saw someone pull the tent and shine a light inside.
She didn't see the features of the person, just a silhouette of a large individual. Then the flap closed and when the person went away. So Lori, Michelle, and Denise were in the Kiowa group, and at 3 a.m. a girl in the Cherokee unit swore she heard screaming coming from that Kiowa group. And then another girl heard someone cry, "Mama, Mama." And she thought she could recognize the voice as Lori Farmer, and she's been to camp with Lori before and remembered that she would always have nightmares. So she didn't think much of it and just decided to go back to sleep. Also, to just keep in mind that these counselors were 18, 19 years old. There was no adults nearby. These were young girls, and the forest is so big. I can't imagine if when it's dark and thundering and you're hearing these really strange sounds. They were probably so scared, and I completely understand, because it's just, you never assume the worst, really, especially at the time of 1977, where, you know, I feel like we're all desensitized to cases now, but it wasn't like that then. Like, you didn't hear any of this stuff. Okay, so now for the main suspect, and the only suspect that was arrested and tried for this case. That is Gene Leroy Hart. He is Cherokee Native American, about 5'10", and approximately 200 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. He used to be the star football for Locust Grove High School, so a lot of people liked him, and they didn't think that someone like him could do this. However, when these murders happened, Hart was actually on the run. He escaped prison and was on the run for 4 years. This would have been... Are we already like at the end?
Yeah, this is the end of the trail.
Holy shit. So if you look at the map. So this was probably the Great Hall. All those other things we passed up were the tents.
This is definitely the Great Hall.
And if they stayed there,
They were
at the last one. So wait,
it's at the very beginning.
Where's
Because we're at the Grand Hall.
We're at the Grand Hall. I didn't even know we passed up all the places where the tents would be.
So they died up here.
And if they were the last ones all the way up there in like the staff house, this place is so far. Oh, hell no.
They're like 2 football fields away from where it happened, where their tent was compared to where the counselor was.
2 football fields? Why did he go to prison? When he was 22 years old, he had kidnapped 2 pregnant women, raped them, left them in the woods with duct tape over their mouth, and then covered their bodies with leaves. Thank God they were able to escape and get up and find help, and they were also able to identify Hart as their attacker. Hart pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 3 10-year concurrent sentences. So 3 days after the murders, some hunters had found a cave that was 3 miles away from Camp Scott. Inside the cave was a pair of glasses, duct tape, pictures, and 2 pieces of newspaper. The glasses were stolen from the camp counselor's tent the night of the murders. The duct tape was the same duct tape that was found at the scene, and the pictures were linked to Hart's time in the prison photo lab. So the cave is linked to the crime scene. Hart is connected to the cave, so they are all linked together. So there was a giant manhunt for Hart, and after 10 months, someone finally gave a tip to the cops and they were able to find him. The medicine man was hiding him out in a small shack in Cookson Hills in Cherokee County. Hart had so much support though. The entire Cherokee Nation backed him up 100%. His supporters felt like he was being targeted since he was Native American and had embarrassed the sheriff by escaping his jail not once but twice. Hart pleaded not guilty in the first-degree murders of Denise Smelner, Lori Farmer, and Michelle Gousset. For the trial, the 2 key pieces of evidence were hair and semen samples found on the girls. DNA was not happening at this time, so they couldn't test the semen. They just found semen on the girls, and the hair was pretty much dark, and that's what the state's case really had as of solid evidence. So Lori and Michelle both had blunt force trauma. Denise Milner, though, was bound, blindfolded, and gagged. She was raped and strangled. So although they had semen, keep in mind DNA testing wouldn't really come until about the late 1980s. Hart's trial lasted 10 days, and it took the jury 6.5 hours for their verdict. The clerk count read the verdict not guilty. And apparently the entire room just exploded with joy and excitement, which kind of sucks. I mean, there was a lot of talk of people saying, like, not that it doesn't matter that he was guilty or not guilty, because he was going back to prison no matter what. I just feel like, in my opinion, this is my opinion, he was definitely involved with the murders. Do I think he's the only one? No. A lot of people don't think he was the only one that took part of this, but he's the only one that was arrested and tried.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel really heavy here.
I do
like
too.
I didn't before, but now, like, being in here, just knowing, like, so many Girl Scouts, like, have been swimming in this pool. I was a Girl Scout.
No.
I went camping. Like, this was a happy summer place, and now it's just such a dark, who's drinking here? I know. Okay, let's go.
Well, he went back to serve his sentence. I mean, he's never getting out of jail. But 2 years after the trial, Hart died from a heart attack. And apparently, at his funeral, thousands of people were mourning over his death, which I think is just, why? Just because he was a football star, he deserves mourning over his death? He still was in prison for raping 2 pregnant women, and he was linked to a cave that was linked into murdering and raping children. Like, oh my gosh. Well, guys, that is my summary of what happened in the Oklahoma Girl Scouts case of 1977. I highly suggest that you dive deeper and listen to the podcast and go to the websites for more information. Again, this case is still open. It's a nutcracker. There's a squirrel on the roof, FYI. I actually really want to cry.
Did you get it? What is this?
It says bread pudding, but there's an animal on the roof. Look at me, like a squirrel or something. I heard it. I need you to see what I'm seeing. That's actually crazy.
You know how much those cost? I'm not even joking. They cost.
What do?
The encyclopedias? Yes, okay. We can go. I just had to see at least one cabin. Okay.
Hard to breathe.
Huh?
Being in that room.
No, like I really started, like I'm still shaky. Like
literally sweating.
I'm
And
shaky.
it's 40 degrees outside.
No, like I'm like shaky and like
Like a cucumber.
yeah, it's very like I really do want to cry. Like I don't know. I'm kind of like lost for words right now. Like, it's just not right.
All this little kid movie
And
the dolls.
like, I don't know why I'm kind of slow, but like for a second, I just thought they were like maybe things that people brought. But I'm like, but then I was like, no, like obviously that was their personal items. And
they just left and never came back.
Because they did. They left and never came back. Holy sh**. Yeah, my heart really hurts.
Literally in that room, I was like...
But that's how I felt, like, as soon as I got in that swimming pool. Like, it was immediate, like, fuck, I can't breathe. Kind of confused. So, the girls are all the way over there, where we came from, which is near the entrance. And the killer, the suspected killer, his cave is like all 3 miles away.
Yeah.
And he decided to go.
I bet he grew up in this area, so I have a feeling he knew where the main stuff was, and he was looking for secluded people.
True.
So it'd be smart to not go anywhere near where the big like surplus of people would be.
I guess, but then you would think it's not smart that you take shit from the camp.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we can just say he's sick and, like, is just doing this. So maybe he's not being that calculated, but...
Or unless there was, like, an actual camp set closer into the wilderness because they were camping, you know?
I don't know, but, like, I don't know if you can see it. Obviously, it's more outgrown. But either way, I'm sure most of these trees were here, not the little shrubs. Like, they're isolated. How old were they? They were, like, 8. Isolated in the woods.
Away from any type of adult.
So yeah,
in a tent.
If I was a camp counselor and I heard some weird stuff going on in the woods and some screaming, I'm gonna be way too scared to go investigate at 2 in the morning.
Were 18.
Yeah, no. And then it stopped too. So that would be me. I would be like, all right, if it's still happening, like.
And to make things worse, it was in the middle of a giant thunderstorm.
Oh shit, I forgot about that. It was a thunderstorm too. Oh my god, these poor girls. Oh my fucking god. Yeah, I'm ready to get out of here.
I'm not even scared. I just don't feel right.
So we completed our mission and barely. Oh my god. So when we didn't realize we were walking the entire campsite. Like, whenever we reached the burned down building, we thought that was the start and it was the end. So we're like, oh crap. And when we were walking back, we see close to the entrance a building, and we saw it going in too, but we didn't think much of it. And then it clicked in our heads, like, oh, like that probably was the tent where the girls got murdered. And we were gonna go walk there and investigate and just try to see like what it really was. But this tree made the weirdest noise. Like I said, should we go in? And it made the weirdest noise where it scared us, and we like looked around, and then I was like, okay, no, like let's still go in. And then it kept doing it, so we're like, oh hell no, like we are getting out of here. That was a clear sign from the universe. We should not go there.
And that was like the worst sound I've ever heard in my life.
It was
like,
weird.
Terrifying.
How would you describe it?
I don't even know. Like an owl was getting killed. Like it was
weird. It was high
like
pitched,
super big screech,
and it scared us. And so we were like, nope. And then we kept walking, and we never heard it again. We never heard it going towards it. We never heard it leaving. It was just when we were contemplating on checking it out. So I was like, yep, taking that as a sign. We should not go. And you know, like, it's just to me, like, I wanted to do a walk through the campsite, but I was not trying to mess with anything, touch anything, go somewhere that I really shouldn't go. So I think we were good. But that was weird.
It took me a couple of minutes to realize what Brittany said. She said that strange, loud noise that we only heard the 2 times that sounded like an owl. On the Red Handed podcast, they mentioned a few Native American stories that connect to something a little bit more spiritual. Apparently, during interviews with Gene, they had asked him how did he escape from prison. He told them that he shape-shifted into an owl. Gene being Native American and besties with a medicine man, could this possibly be true? The ones who are skeptic are going to flat out say that can't be possible. And I would usually think that too, except a lot of Native Americans believe and say that they have family members or themselves can shapeshift. And not only in Native American culture, but also in Mexican culture, there is talk about how people who are connected to the Aztec can also shapeshift into a similar bird like an owl. You can call these folk stories, but they're connected. Another story from the podcast is that the medicine man had put a curse on the police dogs when they were trying to look for more evidence on the campgrounds. They said that the dogs would just go straight to the tent and look up. I told Brittany, what did we do when we heard that sound? We looked immediately up near the tent area. I'm not much of a believer in coincidences. I truly believe everything happens for a reason. You can take what you want from this, but this was a very weird and uncomfortable feeling. So was it someone who was protecting that area from any strangers? Or was it someone guarding them, keeping that area from themselves? Well, that was more of a heavy video, but I hope you took away something from this. So I'm not too sure if I'm going to do a whole lot of true crime cases. You know, there's plenty of YouTubers, podcasts that dedicate their channel or show for true crimes. So I think I would do it again if there was an opportunity like this where I can go visit. I did this specific case because I knew that I could go, and because it's unsolved. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're able to take away something from this video other than just pure heartbreak, but it is unsolved. So if you want to look more into it, spread the word on it, go ahead and do so. I mean, it's been 45 years, and if I'm not mistaken, I did learn from the Red Handed podcast that they tried linking some DNA from not too long ago, but you know, everything's getting older, so not much can be used anymore. I'm coming out with more videos, of course, and the next one will be from Chicago. So I'll be visiting Chicago for the first time, and I hear there's a lot of dark history and crime and so much more to unpack there. If you have ideas of places I should go or stories that I should talk about, let me know in the comments. You can always message me, DM me, whatever you want. I'm going to be there to listen. Again, it helps me if you like this video, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe. I noticed about half the people that have seen my videos are not subscribed. So that's not that cool, guys. So subscribe, like, comment, share with your friends and family. I want to make better, cooler content, and I need the help from you guys to do that. Alright, well, thank you. Bye, guys.